Hey, college wrestling fans, it's JT1Wrestle here. Have a great guest on today. He, pardon the pun, is starting a great legacy at Vermont State Castleton. Please welcome the head coach, Scott Legacy.
Thank you very much for having me, Stephen, and I'm looking forward to this. Let's rock and roll.
Let's rock and roll. So last year, you guys had a very successful season. You guys won team titles at Ithaca, Roger Williams, and Penn Tech. Took a third place showing at a very tough North Central tournament, and you guys were also third at the regionals, which was a very tough, extremely tough regional, qualifying eight for the national tournament. What led to such a successful year last year?
Uh, I think it's just been building, like the building of the culture and getting the right kids in place. We had a lot of depth. Speaking to the regionals, on paper, we were the team to win it. And one of the things that we failed to do was score a lot of bonus points. Obviously, we got eight guys to the national tournament. And but just in general, you have an outstanding coaching staff. We're all bought in, great leadership on the team, and then getting everybody to kind of buy into that led to the kind of performance that we have. Also having an extremely stuffed schedule, as you referenced, and traveling around the country. Iron sharpens iron. I know that's an old cliche, but the better teams you wrestle, I think, the better you get, and it helps prepare you for that, postseason grind.
You know, you were speaking of great leadership, and last year you guys had some tremendous seniors on your team. I mean, some guys that really left a great, well, not to use the word again, but a great legacy for your program. James Rodriguez, Elijah Sire, Samson Wilkins, Haven Tatarek. You know, these were guys that, did so much for your program. On a personal level, Rodriguez was one of my favorite guys just because every time I saw him or I wrote about him over the last couple of years, the first word I thought of was tenacity. Because this is a guy that you knew if he ever got put into the consolation side of the bracket, you knew for a fact this is a guy that's coming back to get third, right? He just had so much heart,
Yes.
and a lot of those guys did. So talk about your seniors and what they meant to the program.
Yeah, those guys, so James Rodriguez and Haven never even visited us. They were in Elijah Sear, recruited during the COVID time. So it was, like Zoom calls and stuff like that. They came in right away. They were all, and Sampson, they were all waiver guys. So they didn't really get much of a freshman year. But just academically, the buy-in, we really preach academics for that's our first and foremost, like that's an A plus for us, and then wrestling's an A. So they bought into that and then realizing, like what you do in the classroom, what you do off the mat leads to what you're doing on the mat. As far as Samson Wilkins, I've known Samson since he was a little boy, like 5 years old. He actually came up in the I coached Monty Anthony High School, and he came up in that program. So when he was in eighth grade, leading into his freshman year, is when I, the job at Castleton and started the program up. So reuniting with him was awesome, and we already had that foundation. But those guys are just outstanding young men. And as far as James, you're right. He had some really rough losses along the way, whether it was regionals or nationals and stuff. And he just had the ability to put it in the rear view mirror and move forward. He was almost like we called him like the closer in baseball, like where the guy gives up a home run one night and then the next night comes back and strikes out the side. It was just incredible. Always had a smile on his face. He was always grateful for the opportunity to wrestle.
This particular season, you guys have an opportunity to maybe crown a NCAA Division III national champion. I'm talking about Gavin Bradley. He was an All-American as a sophomore back in 2024, one match away from placing as both a freshman and as a junior last year. Talk about his potential and what he could possibly do in 2026.
Yeah, so going back to last year's national tournament, and it's not just because you have to overcome things, but one of the things no one knew about us is the eve of the first day, we got hit with a neurovirus. So like all our
Mm.
guys were like really struggling. Um, that night and then into the next day while they were wrestling. And Gavin probably the most. He weighed in like 3 to 4 pounds underneath his weight class. And just to get to the blood round was kind of incredible. But Gavin is an extremely hard worker. If anything, we have to slow him down rather than speed him up. Try to keep him out of the wrestling room. So I think he's bought into that. Had an outstanding summer of training. He is part of our McNair Scholarship Program, which does research, and he was able to gain a research down at Penn State University, where he was, this summer trained for 2 months at Nittany Lion Wrestling Club, and came back even a more confident young man. Obviously was on the mat every single day down there, probably twice, 3 times a day if he could be. And he just is well-rounded. He does, he's an RA on campus. He does tours for missions. He writes for the school newspaper.
Oh,
He has
wow.
his own animal podcast. And, so like, and then at the same time, he's always training wrestling, and he's, always on the dean's list. So there's more to Gavin than just what's on the mat. And actually, ultimately his goal is to stand atop that podium. That's been his what he's been striving for.
And the rest of your team has a great outlook for this season as well. You even have some weights where you have two guys that are both national qualifier material. Like, for example, 174, you got Connor Gregory and Desi McLaughlin duking it out. What are some
Mhm.
expectations for the rest of the team this year?
So we return, four national qualifiers. We return Gavin, Nate Kamashkoli at 157, who's a two national qualifier. Connor at 174. Desi is making the move up to 184, so they actually won't be duking that out.
All right.
So and the out. What was the second part of the question?
Oh, just kind of the outlook for the rest of the season. I know you guys lost a lot of seniors last year, but I also know you
Yeah.
guys had a lot of underclassmen ready to come in and fill those spots.
Yeah, so we returned Evan Day, who is our heavyweight. He had a really good season. He actually tore his knee up in the regional final, kind of affected him at nationals. So he beat a number of guys that were on the podium during the year. He had a heck of a regional final with the athlete from Coast Guard Academy, and we turned Andrew Marchese, who's been a couple times starter, at 133. We have Nick Balala, who was backing up Elijah Sear last year. He, as a sophomore, he was fifth in New Jersey. Got a pretty good transfer in from Buffalo named Aiden Schufelt, who was, like a Virginia champ his senior year and second in the NHSCA's. We got a transfer in from Oswego named Gabe Goss, who was a national qualifier 2 years ago at 141. And Jay Sean Holmes is a veteran at 165, has had a lot of big wins over nationally ranked guys. Just didn't have a great regional tournament last year. He's in his senior year. And 184 is a weight class that's going to be duked out by a lot of last year's 174 pounders and an incoming freshman named Joe Baker, who's really good. 197, we returned Josh Negron, who's been behind Tadarac, and they kind of swapped at the beginning last year. Like Negron won the Ithaca tournament, and he's been around. And then we close out with Evan Day, so the lineup looks pretty solid. I'm not mentioning a lot of names of kids that could actually break into it, but like if you're looking for early season statistics or people that might be the go-to, those are the names.
You know, looking at where you guys are placed, Vermont is not traditionally a wrestling state at all. People don't, when they think of East Coast wrestling, Vermont is probably the last state they think of,
Agreed.
Pennsylvania, New
Yeah.
York, so on and so forth. And there's only two collegiate programs in the entire state. You got yourselves, and then you also got Norwich is the other one.
Mhm.
Um, so has that affected your ability to recruit? Has that hurt you guys at all? What does it mean to you to be able to have such a top NCAA Division III institution, even though you're not in a wrestling state such as Pennsylvania?
Yeah, so we really get after it recruiting wise. Like all our coaches are bought into that. We try to use all our coaches recruiting, not just me. Obviously, I'm involved with every single kid, but we try to find a way to reach all of the kids. We think we have a special place where we're located. We're in central Vermont. We're only 5 or 6 miles from the New York State border. We're probably like an hour and 20 minutes from the Journeyman Wrestling Club. I actually have I think this year we counted that in Journeyman, it's located in Section 2 area of New York. We have like 10 kids from that area on our team and quite a few from the Journeyman Wrestling Club. Frank Papalizzo has been very supportive of us there. And we we're surrounded by mountain biking trails, hiking trails, ski mountains, and lakes. It's a really area. It's not a gated campus. It's a little bit bigger than people think when they get on it. And like if you like outdoors and you like to hike, fish, things like that, we have all that. We have 28 varsity sports on campus, which is a lot. And we really push that, promote that. It takes a special young man to come to us or athlete in general for any of those sports, someone that, kind of wants to be locked in academically and then focus on their athletics. It's an outstanding education. We have professors from all over the country that have like wanted to come to Vermont, teach in a small classroom atmosphere. They've come from bigger universities where they're used to teaching 150 to 200 kids in a lecture hall, and now they're focusing on 15 to 20 personal relationship. And the kids, it's a more of a hands-on focus too, educationally. So when we get kids on campus and we show them that, it's a pretty easy sell most of the time. I mean, obviously there's kids that are looking for the others. So it's just a matter of finding a niche and being honest with what we can provide up front.
You speak about recruiting. You yourself were a National Junior College Athletic Association champion from Morrisville back in the day. And I was wondering, there's a possibility we could see some major changes to the NJCAA. They're talking about possibly even making it where those 2 years wrestling in junior college would not count against you for your eligibility moving forward. That is something that they're trying to make happen. Whether it happens or not is anybody's guess. How do you feel that will affect collegiate wrestling in general? And do you guys like going after kids that come from the junior college ranks?
So, like I discussed that with our coaching staff, and I kind of feel like it's more of like a minor league system for Division One, to tell you the truth. Like the kid that can't make it right away at that level or needs to, uh, work on their academics and stuff like that and get a couple of years of uh, college wrestling in before they go to that level. I'm not sure how that would affect us D3. I mean, the 30-man roster that's taken place for Division One is probably helping Division Two and Three. As far as the junior college, I'm not sure that's how that affects us. I think probably kids that might take that route are thinking more about landing D1 after 2 years, but we'll have to see how it works out.
Well, Coach Legacy, I want to thank you today for being a part of JT1 Wrestle. It's been a pleasure having you on, and I wish you the best of success in the 2025-2026 season.
Awesome. Thank you very much for having me and exposing our great university. I want to add that, to answer one of your questions, our administration's been behind us 100%. They allow us to travel out of the little state of Vermont and expose ourselves. And, so we're very fortunate to have the support of everybody on campus. And I think that's part of the success that you talked about us having. It goes much further than our coaching staff and our athletes. It's the entire university.
Well, I guess I kind of kind of made me think of another question real quick. Do you think we'll see wrestling grow in Vermont over the years? Like more, maybe more programs adding wrestling programs?
That I can't answer. I don't see that happening. I know Norwich has added a women program, and it's something that we're looking at very strongly, with hopefully upgrading our facilities and stuff like that. But it's a small state, and I think the schools that have us, that don't have wrestling are kind of locked in on the sports that they have. But, in the New England area, it's obviously growing, with the addition of Manual College, and there's some other schools that are taking place. But that was a good question.
All righty. Well, like I said again, I really hope you guys have a great season this year. We'll definitely look forward to seeing you guys in Cedar Rapids towards the end of the season.
Thank you very much for having me.